Uh, Hello. This time we talk about the hourglass model of research. And this goes especially to thesis students for those who are in a process of conducting a thesis in management and entrepreneurship. I have supervised something like 70 thesis processes at Aalto University and found that the hourglass model is a powerful illustration about what is important in conducting a thesis. While the theory, method, and data are important, I think that the most important is that a student is able to construct a one internally consistent story that is built around the hourglass model. Hourglass model describes by an hourglass on what issues one should concentrate in each section of the thesis. On the screen, I have the thesis structure on the left, structure that is used in bachelor's degree program of international business at Aalto University, and hourglass on the right. The model applies to sections 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's say that one is interested in studying mergers and acquisitions in his or her thesis. Then in section 2.1, one should, for example, start with one should start with broad research area such as strategy and explain issues like why strategy is important, what approaches there are to strategy, association between success and strategy, and so on. This is basically to make reader familiar with the topic. Then in section 2.2, one could turn attention, for example, to the problem of company growth. One could point out that there are two main strategic options for growth, which are organic and acquisitions, and explained what these are and how these have been studied so far. One should also try to identify a research gap that is something that existing research has not been able to highlight to date, but that should be definitely highlighted now. Then in 2.3, one should briefly list between 1 and 3 research questions that are directly associated with the research gap. These are the reasons why the thesis should be conducted. One should also not only list them, but also give readers convincing reasons, empirical or conceptual, that why they are important. Why on earth it is exactly these that should be answered from the unlimited number of possible questions within the research area. And usually the conceptual framework section also includes some kind of graphical illustration about the problem area and explanation of how research questions are associated to that. Also then in the end of the part 2, in the end of conceptual framework, you could state something like that now that we have identified these important questions, we next move on to looking at what kind of methods and data we use in order to answer these research questions. And this is done in section 3, methodology. Section 3 explains the methods of analysis, data collection, and data. For example, whether quantitative or qualitative methods are used, how you operationalize different concepts, what variables you use, and how you measure these. Something also could be stated on the reliability and validity issues. Section 4 is a place where you present your findings to your research questions. This is done explicitly and briefly. The point is not to discuss your findings here, but only to present your findings. This can be done by data analysis of your variables used in your quantitative research. For example, regression analysis, cross tabulations, correlation coefficients, and so on, or by referring to interview analysis in qualitative research. Once the findings section is done, you move on to section 5, discussion and analysis. And this is the place where you start to discuss your findings. That is, you compare your findings to findings in existing research. And these are basically the same studies that you referred to in the literature review sections. You also use citations here. This is a way to show that your study is part of research field. You discuss differences and similarities of findings between different studies and speculate on the reasons that might explain differences and similarities. So in a way, you generalize back to the research field. What do your findings add to the research field? What has remained unexplained? And what kinds of limitations there might be to your findings? In general, you carry out quantitative research to test theories and to provide generalizable information, of course, depending on what kind of sampling you have done. And in general, the qualitative approaches provide more nuanced information on the topic and are used to develop theory. So this is basically the Hourglass model. It applies to sections 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we have left section 1 and section 6. In introduction, you state the objectives of the work, provide adequate background, you introduce the topic to the reader. However, you avoid a detailed literature review in this stage. Introduction, you also you should justify there why the topic is important and that the content is original. Then if we look at the conclusions section, you repeat the main conclusions of the study there. You make clear what is the original contribution of your thesis, and then also discuss the policy and management implication of your findings, and provide the critical assessment of the limitations of your study. And this is also associated with the possible fruitful lines for further research that you also should state in the section 6. Okay, thanks for listening. This is the Hourglass model of research, and I hope it helps you to carry out your own thesis process.